Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we will tackle about reliability of reference and APA 7th edition guidelines. Reliable source. From the word itself, rely, you can rely on it because it is one that provides a thorough, well-reasoned theory, argument, discussion based on the strong evidence. What makes a source reliable? In order to know whether the source is reliable or not, there must be a certain criteria. Authority, accuracy, coverage, and currency. Importance of using reliable sources truly boils down to effective communication. The internet is scattered with inaccurate, misleading, and biased information that can lead to people's misinterpretations. As a result, we must adhere to the criteria for determining a reliable source.
We have here the types of reliable sources. Scholarly peer-reviewed articles or books. It is written by researchers for students and researchers, and it is an original research. Trade or professional articles or books. It is written by practitioners in a field to impart practice-oriented information. It may also be found through Google or other search engine, but may require payment to see the full text. You should also be aware of sources on the internet that look like trade or professional articles but don't have reliable content. Magazine articles, books, and newspaper articles from well-established newspapers. It is written for a general audience by authors or journalists who have consulted reliable sources and vetted through an editor. These sources may provide some of their articles online for free. Newspapers and magazines often contain both research news stories and editorial or opinion pieces that express the view of the writer. Websites and blogs. It can be reliable or unreliable, hoaxes or sincere misinformation. Researchers and other experts often use blogs as a way to share their knowledge with the general public, but anyone with computer access can do so too, to further any agenda they want. Wikipedia. Some entries are reliable, some are not. It's up to you to evaluate. The authors are anonymous, so there's no way to determine their expertise or the expertise of the Wikipedia editor who oversees the entry. Wikipedia editors will post warnings if they think the entry has weaknesses.
APA 7th Edition Guidelines, published on October 11, 2019 by Raymond Strief Kirk, revised on October 1, 2021. In October 2019, the American Psychological Association, or APA, introduced the 7th edition of the APA Publication Manual, which replaces the 6th edition published in 2009. The use of inclusive and bias-free language is increasingly important, and the technology used by researchers and students has changed. The 7th edition addresses these changes by providing better and more extensive guidelines. Here are some of the most notable changes. Number 1. The publisher location is no longer included in the reference. Number 2. The in-text citation for works with 3 or more authors is now shortened right from the first citation. You only include the first author's name and et al. Number 3. Surnames and initials for up to 20 authors instead of 7 should be provided in the reference entry. Number 4. DOIs are formatted the same as URLs. The label DOI is no longer necessary. Number 5. URLs are no longer preceded by retrieved from unless a retrieval date is needed. The website name is included unless it's the same as the author. Number 6. For ebooks, The format, platform, or device, for example Kindle, is no longer included in the reference, and the publisher is included. Number 7. Clear guidelines are provided for including contributors other than authors and editors. For example, when citing a podcast episode, the host of the episode should be included. For a TV series episode, the writer and director of that episode are cited. Number 8. Dozens of examples are included for online source types such as podcast episodes, social media posts, and YouTube videos. The use of emojis and hashtags is also explained. Number 9. The singular they or their is endorsed as a gender-neutral pronoun. Number 10. Instead of using adjectives as nouns to label groups of people, descriptive phrases are preferred. Number 11. Instead of broad categories, you should use exact age ranges that are more relevant and specific. Number 12. Increase flexibility regarding fonts. Options include Calibri 11, Arial 11, Lucida Sans Unicode 10, Times New Roman 12, and Georgia 11. Number 13. The running head on the title page no longer includes the words running head. It now contains only a page number and the paper title. Number 14. The running head is omitted in student papers unless your instructor tells you otherwise. Number 15. Heading levels 3 to 5 are updated to improve readability. Number 16. Use only one space after a period at the end of a sentence. Number 17. Use double quotation marks instead of italics to refer to linguistic examples. To understand more, what is referencing and APA? Referencing is acknowledging the ownership of resources used in your academic writing. It also provides information necessary to identify and retrieve the work cited in the text. APA referencing style is an author-date referencing system published by the American Psychological Association. There are two components in the APA referencing style: in-text citations and their corresponding reference list entries with anything that you have read, used, and referred to in your academic writing. You must acknowledge in text, in the work, assignment essay you are writing. Include in your reference list the list at the end of your work of all sources you refer to. To differentiate in-text citation and references, in-text citation used when referencing another source in the body of your paper, while references, the use of a source of information in order to ascertain something, are organized by the author's last name in alphabetical A to Z order. Author date citation system. In-text citations appear in the body of the work. They enable readers to locate the corresponding entry in the reference list. In-text citations are usually presented in the following two ways: narrative citation and parenthetical citation. Narrative citation: the author appears in the text with a date in the parentheses, while parenthetical citation: the author and date appear within parentheses. Who is responsible for the work? The authors. There are different types of an author. It could be one author, two authors, three or more authors, and group authors. In the different author type, you will use either parenthetical citation or narrative citation. For example, in the one author, Alburo 2021, the author and date appear within parentheses is an example of parenthetical citation. Example number 2, Alburo 2021 examined. The author appears in the text with the date in parentheses is an example of narrative citation. Pages or sections, citing specific parts of a source. When you are directly quoting or paraphrasing a specific part of a source, your in-text citation may include author, date, and information about this specific part. This could be a page number, page range, paragraph number, section number, table or figure number, or chapter number. Here are the following examples. Smith 2020, page 10. Smith 2020, pages 10 to 12. Smith 2020, paragraphs 2 to 3. Smith 2020, table 1. And last, Smith 2020, chapter 3. Summarizing or paraphrasing. Summarizing or paraphrasing the main findings from a research article is the preferred method of citing sources in an APA paper. Always include the last name of the author and the year. If you are paraphrasing, you are not required to provide a page or paragraph number in the in-text citation, but you may include one when it would help the readers locate the relevant passage. Example, according to Mercado 2020, the only constant in this world is change. Page 1021. Secondary citations. A secondary citation is where you cite information or quotes that the author of your reference has taken from a source that you have not read. It is preferable to locate the original source if possible. Remember, in the in-text citation, name the author of the original work in your text. Cite the secondary source in the in-text citation, as the example follows.
Reference. A reference is the bibliographic information of a work cited. In APA, a reference includes 4 core elements, and these 4 core elements are who, when, what, and where. Reference list. A reference list lists only the sources you refer to in your writing. About reference lists. A reference list appears on a new page after the end of a paper. It provides a reliable way for readers to identify and retrieve the work cited in the paper. Format of a reference list. The purpose of the reference list is to allow the resources cited in your work to be found by your readers. What to include. All references cited in the text must appear in the reference list, except for personal communications such as conversations or emails which cannot be retrieved. Location. On a new page after the text and before any table or figures or appendices. The heading must use references as the title at the top of the page, beginning with a capital letter in bold, centered, and not in italics. The order. All references are listed by alphabetically by the author, or title if there is no author. If there are 2 entries with identical authors but different dates, order them chronologically, earlier first. Double space is the space needed. The whole reference list hanging indent 0.5 inch or 1.25 centimeters from the left margin for the second and subsequent lines of each reference. URL. Use of hyperlinks is preferred. However, you may use plain text that is not underlined for URLs. This is an example of a reference list. Valentin E.R. is the author's last name, first name, and middle initials. 2019 is the date. Narcissism predicted by Snapchat selfie sharing, filter usage, and editing is the title of the work, which must be italicized. CSU Schoolworks is the source. Lastly, the URL or DOI if available.